What's the good word? It's your boy DKB here. So we have, I think, the makings of another interesting project coming up in this wide receiver slash tight end room. But at least the guy that, a year or two from now could be a prominent piece in one of those two rooms. So we are talking about none other than undrafted free agent Earl Charles out of Indiana University. And the reason I'm thinking this is because he's already gotten some praise for what he's been able to do on the practice field last year. I heard there's some rumblings that, people love, the way he's able to go in there and break down film and try to apply it to the practice field, which is why they're so big on him. But if you guys think back, we had a guy that was around on the roster for a while in Lawrence Cager that didn't make the final cuts last year. And he was a guy that we thought could have been a breakout star in the tight end room, from everything that we was hearing. So not only was it a surprise that he didn't make it, but to see him go out there and then have some level of success when he got picked up by the rival Giants made it sting that much more. Now, was it better than Tyler Conklin or anybody? Definitely a no, but you never know what he could have become. And the Jets have been a team. We've been privy. We've kind of rode and been ride or dies for a lot of these undrafted free agents that have walked through the door. I mean, we have a strong history of going out there and finding guys. Damon Snacks Harrison is one of my all-time favorite undrafted free agents that we ever brought in through the building that was able to go on and have a long, successful career, and he won't be the last. So, taking a look at Irvin Charles here, taking a look at what our team roster could look like after this year or two when Aaron Rodgers is done. He's a guy that I'm looking at to kind of potentially replace that Lawrence Cager role. Now, we'll need to see if he ultimately goes down that route. There is a small piece of information that believes that may not be the place, but even if he stays in the wide receiver room, he can find himself well on his way into this roster. So let's talk about it real quick. 6'4", 219 pounds. The reason why I think, for starters, he may not necessarily become Lawrence Cager is because Lawrence Cager secretly went out there and was able to pack on 40 pounds and build himself into an actual tight end mode where his speed and stuff would be more of an asset at that position. Lawrence Cager actually is a few pounds lighter than he was when we brought him in. I think he came in at 228, 230 pounds, somewhere in that range. So if he's packing on muscle, we're not seeing it based on that decrease. But there are a few interesting comparisons out there for why he could still become something on this roster when you take a look at how he's played the position and what his body type is, comparable to. One of them, or I guess the main guy outside of Lawrence Cager, is Quincy Enunwa, and they could have very similar experiences, right? It took Quincy Enunwa a couple years to go in, kind of be utilized in this hybrid tight end move role before he's able to go out there and find success in the wide receiver unit. And he's a guy that I, love to hear, especially when he drops on the New York Jets channel now. But still, sneaky good IQ, pretty good athleticism and measurables. Lawrence Cager hasn't beaten the height department. He's in the same mold of the weight, but he goes out there and he plays angry. He's kind of almost another like Denzel Mims. He can go out there and create a lot of yards after catch ability. One of the things that really excites me about him, outside of the work ethic and the potential that we've heard the coaching staff, at least the previous one, speak to, is the fact that he's flashed as a big play threat and a guy that could be a huge red zone problem. His final season at Indiana University, we're talking about a guy that's averaged 20.3 yards per catch. He finished that season with 12 touchdowns. So he has the ability. His future is most likely going to be as a red zone threat. But when I think about the Jets bringing on a guy like Zach Azani, you bring on a guy like Nathaniel Hackett, Azani being a guy that's proven he can develop guys at multiple levels, undrafted free agents, first-round picks, mid-round picks. He's been able to go out there and do a lot. And then you take a look at Nathaniel Hackett, who's been spoken about at multiple levels by multiple people, both player and coaches, that he has a very scheme-friendly fit in a way of being able to go out there and layer his routes to build success for these receivers. So I think he has the potential to go out there and really be one of these sneaky hidden gems where in 2 to 3 years from now, when we're talking about, okay, Garrett Wilson has a contract extension coming up, who's being paired around him, you could take a look at a guy like Irvin Charles as our new number 4 wide receiver. Is that going to be world changing? No. He can essentially follow in the footsteps of maybe like a Tim Patrick for this New York Jets roster, and maybe that's the best comparison we should be looking at with a guy like Azani in the building. But he's a guy I'm low key excited for. I always like the bottom roster hidden gem, uncovered diamond kind of situations here. But if he does become a Lawrence Cager, amazing, awesome. You're talking about maybe him and Jeremy Rucker being the future. If not, you're talking about maybe a strong number 4 option where he's replacing guys like Mecole Hardman, guys like Denzel Mims, if he's able to realize his potential. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. For me, I think he's a name that we may hear quite often during the course of the preseason as maybe the new Jeff Smith, where he's absolutely crushing it during OTAs and minicamp. I doubt he'll break the roster this year, but maybe he finds his way on the year after. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. What do you feel about him? And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.